Today, we have three guests from the same agency. One is the founder who started the company 17 years ago. The second is the strategy director who translates the founder's vision into action. And the third is a partner who started as an entry-level campaign manager and worked their way up to the C-suite. Today, they run a 300-person creative performance agency across 8 countries in Latin America. But what makes this story interesting isn't just their massive scale. It's the philosophy of being always in beta and constantly reinventing themselves. So in this episode, we'll talk about what it takes to build a culture that lasts nearly 2 decades, how to navigate the changing expectation of new generations, and what it actually takes to get promoted from the bottom to the top. German, Mica and Lil, welcome to Agency Culture Conversations.
Thank you, Wes.
Thank you
for the space.
Yeah, of course. It's my absolute pleasure to have all of you three in our podcast, actually. For everyone who is listening, German, maybe we can start off with you, but would you mind telling the audience a bit about your story, where you came from, and how did you actually started the agency?
Of course, it will be a pleasure. Well, WildFi started in Montevideo, Uruguay, small country in South America, in the year 2008. It was a startup that began with my brother and me, and the first partner at that time. We started as a media consultancy agency, and we developed the business into what we call today a creative performance company, going outside Uruguay into several countries. The company has offices around Latin America today, in Argentina, Chile, Peru, Puerto Rico, Mexico, Panama, and Paraguay. Yeah. That's all. And we're around 300 people up to date.
That's awesome. Do you actually have a brick and mortar office in all those countries, or is it mainly remote?
It's a real office with real people. Although we work a lot with AI, there are a lot of real people in every office. We like to say that we are like every country is autonomous, but interdependent with other offices, and they report to a central government.
That's awesome. For everyone who's watching on YouTube, you can see the office background, but if you're listening on Spotify or another platform, it's such a cool office. I get a chance to see the background. I was just like, man, I wish I can be there with you guys. But for you, Mica and Lil, when did you actually come into the picture for the agency?
Lil, do you want to start?
Yeah, I came to WildFi, I think it was 2011, something like that. I've been here for 15 years. I previously didn't work in advertising. Actually, I was studying at that time. So it was my first opportunity within the industry. And then I changed a lot of roles within the agency. From account management to campaign management, the media team, the strategic team. And it's been like 7 years, I think now, that I'm in charge of the business intelligence department. So it's been quite a journey throughout the 15 years.
That's awesome. Yeah. What about you, Mica?
For me, I'm not as long. I haven't been as long as Lil. I think Lil is the one who has been the longest here. But I joined WildFi around 4 to 5 years ago. And it was an interesting one because I actually messaged Carmen on LinkedIn asking if they worked with design thinking, other innovation, agile methodologies. And he said at the time that they didn't, but he would love to learn more if I could come in. So my actual first interaction with WildFi was one at the office that's talking a little bit more about design thinking, tried a couple of different freelance projects, and then I joined as a strategy director for the offices in Uruguay and Puerto Rico as well.
That's awesome. I would love to ask you a few questions later about your mindset going from a freelancer into such like a high-level executive now. But I actually want to get started with German. And I'm sorry, I know you guys call him German. The American accent is telling me it's German. But German, you started the company 17 years ago, selling digital ad, and now you're a 300-person creative performance agency. So one of the things that you mentioned in the past, and this is your oldest mantra, is just about being able to fast to adapt, right? So what does it actually mean for a company culture to be always in beta?
That's a thing that started when we have like a business model that we know it was going to become obsolete very fast. And we were at the beginning like afraid of that happening, but after that happened and we have to iterate our model into a new business model, and we made it without any problems, and the company was growing. It like became something that we found, well, that's very nice. That's a thing that we can take advantage from. So it became like a way of living in the company. And when we are like too settled, we'll start like being worried about ourselves. So we force changes to happen if they don't change by time to time.
Yeah. So I'm curious, like after being in business for 17 years, what are the period that you saw has been like changing the most? Maybe it's like today's age is AI, right? Maybe it's COVID. Like what has been like the time where you're like a few times actually that you were like, oh man, I gotta adapt quickly or else it might go wrong?
Well, look, the company is changing very fast since it started, because it was a very small company, like 3-4 people, and the whole scale up. So I believe that if you compare all in the whole period of our lifetime, the company now and the company 2 years ago, it's completely different. Taking into account whatever time you change, you select. So now, yes, we have all the AI thing happening, but I believe that of course, it's very, very different from any other changes, but we had changes all the way through. So it's another change, and I believe the company today will be nothing to be with the company 2 years in the future.
Yeah. Is there any like mindset or advices that you want to give to somebody, especially in today's age with AI, right? People are afraid to adapt. People are afraid of the change. Do you have any advices for those founders?
You have to take the change as an opportunity, because if not, the change will take on you as an earthquake.
That's a great one. It's very short, but you either thrive in the change or the change will change you. I'm curious as well for Lil and Mica. So German talks about constantly reinventing the company from a strategic perspective. And how do you take that like founder vision of adaptation and turn that into something that the team can actually execute, without feeling overwhelming or chaotic?
Well, we actually were talking about that just before we enter here, because it was, okay, so how is that we do that and we do it without thinking of it? I mean, it's like natural for us nowadays. So I think that one key point is, of course, communication, and that we are really, really aligned with what is happening. And there is one phrase that I like to say that is similar to what Herman already said, but if you cannot see that the changes must be done in order for you to adapt and evolve, then probably you wouldn't be working in this industry. It's too fast. It changes a lot. I mean, you just ask Herman for other changes rather than AI, and I instantly thought of when social media came in. I mean, it was 15 years ago. I was entering this industry, and it was, okay, nobody knows how to do this. We need to start to understand how to make a post, how to promote content on, it didn't even exist Facebook pages. So it was profiles. So everything changes a lot. So if we are not aligned with that, when you are working on an agency, it's difficult also for us to traduce that into the team. They need to have that mindset, but communication is vital. If you don't know where the agency wants to go, it's really tough, and it's difficult for the different teams to adapt and to accept that changes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
To add on that, I think there two key things adding on to what Lila and Carmen were saying. One is curiosity. I think we can never talk enough about curiosity, understanding what tools are available and how we can make use of them. Going back to your question, if it was COVID, if it was, as Lila was saying, social media at the time, I think what helps us thrive or through changes or being this beta mode is the curiosity of, okay, how can I make my work better with all the tools that I have right now? Or what else can I try? And I think it's in a WildFi, we're always trying to foster the mindset of, okay, let's try. If it doesn't work, doesn't matter. At least I can get an understanding of how I can use it later on in my life or what learnings I can get for this. But I think you get more punished for not trying than trying and failing, right? That number one. And then the other thing I just wanted to add on is we have a process called creative performance, which is our way of work or operating system or what we want to call it. And going back to your question of, okay, how do we tie down also the founder's vision to everyday work? I think having a process, especially when you have a lot of offices, is so, so, so important to get everyone aligned and on the same boat on this is how we're working. It's not, I think one of the questions was also, how are we able to maintain the same sense of WildFi even having 8 offices, right? And I think creative performance in this sense is what aligns one office to another and makes sure that whatever is done in one office can also be done in another one.
Yeah, absolutely. And you know what? I do have a follow-up question on that. People are usually afraid or against changes, right? Especially constant changes within like months or weeks even, right? So and you also talked a bit about like processes as well, but what are some of your insights about when there is a certain change or during the period where you have to make a lot of changes very quickly? How do you roll it out to the team so that they don't feel so overwhelmed about everything that is going on?
Well, that's
I think-
natural thing. Sorry, Lil, go.
Yeah, no, I think clarity is key. I mean, if you are not transparent and you are consistent and also show the teams that you are sure of what you're doing and what you're trying them to change, they will be like more resistant to the different changes. But yeah, go on here.
And there is a key point here, Wes, that is we know our North Star. Our changes are changes in the road to get there, but not to the definite goal. So these changes are less, I don't know how to say it precisely, but they don't feel like there is a change in what we are going for. It's a change in the road because we find that the road has, I don't know, like a bump or something that we can go faster in another way, but always moving forward to our North Star, okay? And that's one thing. And the other thing is that these changes that we make in the road, we are not making them all the way. Now we go there, now we go. They are worked out like in some spots of time that we find that there is needed to make a change. But although all these things, it's kind of hard sometimes to every guy, every people in the company to accept them correctly and go forward with the changes. But our culture is mostly change friendly.
Yeah, I love that. And I think when I put together the puzzle that everything you guys have been talking about, it's really just show the team this is where we will be in like the next few years, right? Your North Star, your vision, and just communicate to the team on why we need to get there in a sense. So, Jermaine, I want to ask you a question. When you started opening offices in other countries like Paraguay or Chile, you didn't just hire local leaders, but you actually move your existing team members from Uruguay to other countries, if I understand that correctly. So why was that specific strategy so important to you?
Yeah, that was made at the beginning by chance, but then it was made in a very precise way because we want the experience of the whole company for partners, for employees, and for clients to be the same in every office that we work or we engage with. And we need to export our culture, like throw away someone who carried the flag of WildFi and plant it in every country that we went for, and then made it like COVID contagious very fast to the whole of the other team. And that was a very good move. We continue doing that. The whole company is a unitary structure for real. We communicate to the whole company. We communicate teams from our office in Paraguay, with an office in Mexico, with an office in Uruguay. We make annual summits between areas, between country managers, hopefully between the whole company. And that is very, very useful to get things done at the end.
Yeah. I was also very curious as well. Was there a lot of pushbacks of people? Maybe somebody who was like, I don't want to relocate. I just want to stay in Uruguay. How did you handle those situations?
We never forced anyone to move to a place or an area that they don't feel comfortable or they don't like it. We try to do this as an opportunity for people moving forward in their careers. So it was very, very well welcomed. Well, Lil had a not so good experience because she moved to Chile just before COVID started, and when COVID started, she wasn't located there for real, and she stayed like
3 months.
Yeah, go ahead.
3 months only, yeah, but it was just like that. I mean, COVID got me back to Uruguay, but yeah, I was thinking the different cases that we have throughout the years, and it was pretty organic. I mean, always you are afraid of the change that you're doing, but it's for an opportunity, and it's also for doing something different or additional than the thing that you're doing on the role that you had before. So I think that is key for everyone to be interested at least in the opportunity.
That's awesome. I mean, if I could move around, I would do it. It'd be to get to see different cultures. I think that's such a cool experience.
And I always say when I do interviews, because this is a fact that happens daily, that when you enter WildFi, it doesn't matter in which country you are located, you always have the chance throughout the year to work to another country or to a specific project, because you have a lot of knowledge in that special thing that we are needed in that country. So even though you are located physically in one place, you always have the chance to work throughout the whole company.
That's amazing. Gentlemen, I do want to get back to you. So you have team members who have been with WildFi since 2008, and most of which have been promoted into leadership. Lil here is an example. So what does that tell you about the culture that you've built? And really, what does it take to keep people committed for that long?
Well, it's very important in the building of a company that people inside the company get a sense of ownership of the company and of their career directly attached to the company's success. That's like the theory thing. In the practice, it happened because it happened, spontaneously. People worked very good. They were promoted by the growth of the company, because we needed leaders and people to take projects into success. So it was like a very natural thing. Then we start in a professional way, standardizing this and openly talking about it and looking for key talents to develop. It's very important in a service company as we are, which our service is people-based, to retain, to locate, and then retain key talents, because there is lots of rotation in the industry, and it's very important for us to keep the good ones in our side, and for the people also to again a partnership in the company. We have lots of people with stock options in the company. A real career development here. Lily is one case, but there are many members of the staff that they started as intern jobs and they developed their career the whole way up. They continue doing this This is possible also because of the company's growth rate. As we continue growing, there are every year open opportunities for growing for people that is willing to grow.
That's awesome. And I actually want to ask Mica and Lil the exact same question. So maybe something you haven't told Jim before, but what has been keeping you committed to the company for so long?
Oh, well, I told Mica recently that I get frequently asked, how is that you are 15 years in the same agency or in the same company?
Yeah.
And I think the key is that it doesn't feel like the same company throughout the whole 15 years. So what we were saying before, that we change and we are dynamic, and it's been like 5 different agencies with the same spirit, the same culture, and the same vision and ambition, but also being able to accompany the changes by changing also my role. That's been what's been key to this dynamic and staying throughout these 15 years, that it's a lot, mostly in agencies. And also, I think when we change, it doesn't feel chaotic because we always have the vision, that north that Herman said. So it's key to have that, because if not, yeah, it would be not that easy to accompany all the things that we want to do and we want to achieve.
Yeah, I think for me, it's pretty similar to what Lynn was saying. The fact that it's always changing. I always say that you can never get bored. You can never leave just because you got bored, because there's so many things to do. And I think also Herman and Felipe, Herman's brother, have done a great job in allowing people to feel the ownership and being able to try different projects. So I was just thinking that last year we launched the new consulting unit that has never been done in WildFi. And I think it's that mentality of, okay, this is something new, let's try it. As I was saying earlier, if it doesn't work, that's okay. Let's take the learnings and move on. But I think also that mentality of, okay, what's new? Let's try something else. Let's change. It's at least for me, that's what keeps me here. The fact that it's always changing, always evolving, and it's not a matter of, okay, I've done the same thing all over again, because you're always learning and doing something new.
That's awesome. Now, I'm curious, because you have 300 people across, I believe, 8 countries now. Correct me if I'm wrong. So how do you actually maintain that horizontal feeling, maintain that culture when the company gets that large? Like, how do you get people to be accountable for the role, be excited about the changes across the entire company?
The company is moving very fast always, and we are every day with new projects, new challenges. Perhaps when you feel that you are like, okay, the year is ending, and kataboom, and you have like 3 pitches in a row, and perhaps we win 2 of those pitches, and one of those pitches is our biggest client ever. So you start, or we get into those things. I won't say without even notice it, but perhaps not being so conscious about it.
I think it's also what you were mentioning our office, but the fact that there's no perception of, okay, the C-level, they have their own closed offices and it's really hard to get them. Everyone is super approachable. We're always just sitting next to each other. So I think there's not that sense of, okay, I can talk to them or I can ask for advice. I think we're always working so close that at least there's no big feeling or sense of, okay, this person is not approachable or they deserve certain respect that any other coworker wouldn't. Or at least that's how we feel it on a daily basis. I don't know if Lily want to add something.
Yeah, no, I want to add something to that. We took that to the physical level, okay?
Exactly.
All our offices are designed with an open space. We don't have any private offices, only meeting rooms and phone booths. And we try with our architects to perform a view that every people looks forward to the most people that it can. We don't have people sitting looking to the wall. We try not to have like rows although we have in some offices rows, but here in Montevideo, which is our headquarters, and let's say the wannabe of our offices, all the design is like curved, and we look for the angle that most people look to each other and don't give the back to anybody. So, well, that's like a visualization physically of our flattened organization.
You know what? I just had a very interesting question I wanted to ask you guys. So I think as a founder, especially when you grow the company to maybe like 7 to 8 figures, right? You always have a lot of founders, they have that mindset where I'm only here to solve like $1 million question. Don't come to me when you have like a $5 question, right? So have you ever had an incident where like German or maybe even Mica and Lil as well, like an employee comes to you and asks maybe a very generic question, maybe something from the clients, and you was like, this is like a waste of time. Like, do you have a system to avoid that, or you not try to avoid that in general?
I think
Perhaps
yeah, go ahead.
no,
Because I think it changes a lot throughout the years. It's not the same when you are 10 people, like Germán said, when it was, I don't know, 18 years ago or even less. And when you are 300 people and you are working for the entire company, the 8 countries. So one thing I was thinking before regarding to the previous question, but it's connected with this, is that shared knowledge is key to also optimize that questions or different levels or information. If you don't hold on to all the knowledge and all the information and you give that to the people to make their own decisions or proposals or bring to you the different solutions, not only the question, I think that's key, because you're not avoiding that. You're not putting like a wall or a fence between them, their questions, their insecurities, and your role, but you're also giving them the tools that they need to start to figure out themselves a little bit more.
I like that. I like that. Now, from your perspective, Mica and Lil, you've been, especially with Lil, you've been with WildFi since, if I understand correctly, 2010. So that's about 15 or 16 years now. You've seen almost like the entire evolutions of the company, but after a bunch of pivots or even like adapts to new industry demands, how does German or other leadership team member make sure that you feel secure about like all of these new changes?
I speak for myself right now, not for the company, but I think that for me, it's really important. I literally have them sitting behind me. So that's really important. Yesterday and today, I was chasing Germán to have 15 minutes to talk to him to solve some things. And I always have the chance to go to them to solve things or just communicate something that it's happening and saying, like I just said, okay, this is the situation, this is the possible solution. I will go back to you eventually, but we're working on it. So I think that security of having the ability to reach, even though not always seeking for an answer, because most of the time I have to get the answer, but having that opportunity to just level the information and know where we're at, not only from my side, but only from their side, it's key. And also, we already said that, but I really think that it's truly important that you are aligned with the vision of the company, and the vision of the company is a reflection of how they think and what they have achieved.
That's awesome. Well, what about you, Mica? How do you feel, I guess, like safe or secure, like after so many pivots in the agency?
I think it's the agency pivoting, but I think we pivot as well. I think not everyone, but a lot of people at WildFi is very anxious to change or try something new. So I think a lot of times, yes, we have to change because there's a new circumstance or something happened. But I think a lot of the time it's also the talent also asking for that change or wanting to try something else. So I think it goes both ways. Yes, we have to adapt to what's happening to the industry. And sometimes it's us saying, okay, we want to adapt or change or try something new that the industry has never done before. And the other thing I just wanted to add on because I think it goes back to this having not such a hierarchy, but more a horizontal sort of thing. There's something that we sometimes take for granted for living here, but I think leadership in Latin America can also feel different than if we take it to other parts of the world. Especially when you were asking about that, or Lil was saying, "Oh yes, I have Carmen sitting right next to me." We have in Latin America, you get here, you say hi with a kiss on the cheek, you share the mate. So there's all these different things that I think that it makes it a lot more approachable in comparison to, I don't know, if you think about North America, or we think about Europe or any other English speaking country. I would say that I think it's more formal, and maybe it's what we're used to seeing in media and movies, etc. But I think there's something about the culture of being where we are in Latin America that also allows that everything be more flexible and be able to have that being closer, right, to the bosses, the leadership, the C-suite.
That's actually amazing. Like I know what you're talking about. I've worked 9 to 5 corporates before we started the company, but yeah, like in North America, it just feels like leadership is so far off to
So far.
reach, right? Exactly. So just hearing how you get a chance to sit next to German, sitting next to the leadership team, and not just you yourself, but other team members as well. That's actually pretty cool. Now, I'm curious. I know you guys have in office, like in-person offices, but do you have any, I guess, like in-person event where you bring the entire company together?
That's a great
Well,
question for Herman.
we made for our 10th anniversary a great party where when the company came to Uruguay, we were around 100 people by that time. Nowadays, we have lots of movements between branches. We have like summits between areas in different countries, but we don't actually have a event like a complete company summit where the whole company goes and gets together in one spot. I believe that like it will be very good to have that done. We couldn't do it up to now. In the upcoming years, I believe that we will get the chance to make it true. But for now, it's not possible.
Yeah, I can imagine 300 people across 8 different countries. That has a very operational intensive to bring everybody together. Now, I want to transition into a different topic. And I think a lot of our listeners actually are not in the leadership position. So first thing that I want to ask you is German. So of course you have leaders who have been with you for 11, 15 years. Lil is an example. So when you're looking at the team, what are some of the traits or what are some of the few things that tell you that somebody is ready to move from maybe like an IC level to like a leader in your company?
My experience is that leaders are done by actions. So this is a very hands-on company, and people that get the chance to lead something is because that naturally happened. They made it by themselves. Then they were like appointed as a chief of something, or a manager, or a team leader, or a project leader. But it's like a reflection of attitude.
Mhm. So it's all about your mindset, basically.
Yeah, of course you have to have some skills, but yeah, I believe it's more attitude, mindset than knowledge or I don't know, management skills. It's more the attitude and the thing that you bring with you inside about going forward and taking others moving forward with you, that a degree in college or something like that.
Yeah,
Right.
actually, since last year, I think it was, we have been working with our people and culture department to have workshops to give tools and skills to the people that we consider that are able to grow in the company, different skills of management and leadership and how to deal with different situations. So I think that is really aligned to what Herman said, because you're not born with it, but you can have the kind of personality or professional qualities, but you always need someone to guide you and to give you support or teach you things that you're not facing until you have the job, right?
Yeah. What about loyalty? I'm curious. Let's say if you have to choose somebody between, let's say, skill set, somebody who has a better skill, but who recently joined the company, or somebody who might have the mindset and they've been loyal to the company for a while. Like, I'm curious if you had to pick and choose between that situation, and if you have someone who has a great skill, and then versus
Okay.
maybe somebody who's been with the company for a very long time and they've been very loyal with the company.
No, it's we had an opportunity, a consultancy about our team that told us two things that are very important: is a member of the staff that commutes with the culture values, it's thumbs up, over a member of the staff that doesn't commute with culture values but performs very good. The overperformer, if she or he isn't in line with the culture values, will have to leave eventually quickly. The people that commute with the culture values of the company, we will have to, I don't know, guide them, show them the way to become better professionals, but are the people that we have to invest in.
Yeah. I actually want to start putting the spotlight on Mica and Lil, because a lot of people want to get to that leadership position, right? But a lot of people actually are just waiting around for the opportunities for it to happen, right? So for you both, actually, what were some of the few things, maybe it's about your mindset, maybe it's something else, that you would want to recommend to somebody who is looking to move into leadership?
I think there are two things that are really important. One of them is be open-minded, but always thinking that you don't have all the answers. I mean, that's key. If you go to, or if you're working to pursue a different role or to lead a team, the fact is that you never know what you're facing up to until you're there. So it's key to be like open to absorb information, hear from others, understand that there are some things that you will not understand or know how to manage. I think that's key, because if you act like you know how to solve everything, you will be really overwhelmed by the time you are doing the job, actually. Working with people can be really rewarding, but also it's really challenging. So, and even more if you have a lot of people that it's working in your team. It's not the same if you're working like in teams like 2, 3 people rather than, I mean, right now, from my case, it's like 18, 19 people. So it's really different when you are trying to understand them rather when you're already there. And I think there's another thing that's key that I was thinking recently, that Felipe always told me throughout the years, that there is something that you need to know how to do, and it's to like sell yourself, but in a good way. You need to understand what you're doing well and how to show the things that are doing well and how are they impacting on the work that you have in charge or the work others are doing. So I think those things are key, because that is how you create value without just showing that you have value, right?
Yeah. What about you, Mica? Like what
I think
is everything that helps you?
No, I'm very aligned with what Lilo was saying. I think there's a lot of attitude as well. So if you're not in a leadership position, I would ask myself, okay, what can I be doing that's going to make the company a better place to work, or is going to make its processes more efficient, or how can I help? I think it's a great question to ask. And then comes the second part that Lilo was saying, that is, okay, how do I sell this to the leadership team, right? A conversation that I have with my boss all the time, he says, treat everyone as if they were your clients. So treat your coworkers as your clients, and how you're selling to your coworker, do it the same way as it was an external client, right? I think that helps to really push the boundaries of the way you promote, the way you show, and the way you're selling yourself all the time. But I think it's so important also then showing that you want to do something and that you're willing to maybe stay a couple of hours more, not just for the sake of staying over, but you're really passionate about what the company's trying to solve. And then, yes, comes the second part of how am I selling this and how am I showing that I'm the best person for this job?
I love that. I think one thing that I want to highlight as well, and it's very cool that you mentioned that, is it's about asking yourself, how can you help? And not
Absolutely.
how can I receive of this benefits
Exactly.
and status, right? I think that's where most people get it wrong. You know, they've been waiting
I think
around and just, yeah.
No, absolutely. I think if you need someone to tell you what you do, maybe it's not time for you to be in a leadership position. I think you'll become
Yeah.
a leader when you understand that you're the one who needs to be solving the problems and not waiting for someone to give you the problem to solve.
Exactly. So I'm curious about something. Now, of course, ever since you started the agency and through a lot of changes, people make mistakes. And I think one cool part about you guys that you mentioned earlier is you catch them quickly and you make changes based on the mistakes. So how do you create an environment for your team where people feel safe that making mistakes is not going to lead to maybe getting fired or getting punished?
Well, I think that the last thing you said is the first key. I mean, if there is a mistake and the first thing you do is hunt for a person that is guilty or is 100% responsible of that mistake, that wouldn't add to the culture nor the situation and either resolve the problem itself. So I think the first thing is not looking for a guilty party other than working with the teams that are facing the problem to gather a solution. If they don't have the tools or the knowledge or the I don't know, they don't have the reach to solve it, okay, sit with them, show them how to do it, go back and forth through the situation, try to make them understand why this is better than the other thing. I think that's key, because if not, that also does not contribute to our culture. And it's really important for us and to maintain this changing mindset and this dynamic that we have to work like with these visualizations.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's awesome. Jimin, I want to come back to you about something. So when you grew the agency, of course, in the beginning, when you took it to a very rapid pace, when you scaling very fast, you promoted a lot of people, right? So now when you have all that new members coming in, how would you, I guess, reset that expectations that we're not scaling as fast as maybe like 5 years, 10 years ago, so the promotion might come a little bit later? Like, how do you manage that expectation?
The thing is that we are scaling as fast as we used to.
Oh,
So
that's
we
crazy.
are, we work for continuous scaling because we know that if we don't scale, all our company is like, we are not used to not scaling. That's the thing. We need to grow to maintain as the company we want to be. Because if we are not scaling, the company is settled, and if we settle, is the beginning of.
So I want to ask you something. I don't know if it's too private, but you mentioned about your North Star earlier in the podcast, right? What is your North Star, let's say like 5 years from now, 10 years from now? Are you going to become like 1,000 people company? Are you going to become a 500 people employee?
Our vision, our goal is to lead the new era of communication in Latin America. We started with a vision of lead the new era of communication worldwide. We accomplished that to Latin America. We quoted that to Latin America at the beginning, but that's the vision, to be the leading company of communication services in Latin America.
That's amazing. And I think it's crazy. I'm still processing the fact that you're at 300 people and you're still thinking about scaling, you're still thinking about growing. And I think that is such a cool thing where you show the team the vision, when you show the team this is where we're going to be in 5 years, they get people to be excited. And I think that is, I guess, like something that makes you guys are doing so well. That is something how that allow your team to be like, yeah, I want to stick around for a long time because I see the vision, which is amazing. Like I think a lot of founders, when they add about like 100 or like 200 people employed, they start thinking about playing defense. But it's so cool that you guys are constantly thinking about the offensive side of things. Now, when you have a new team members who's, let's say, they just coming in and they want to be like a boss, maybe because of the time you guys are growing so fast and they want to raise after 2 weeks, and they want to jump into senior levels. How do you handle those conversations while keeping people motivated? Like, how do you set the expectation that, yes, we are growing, but you have to get to a certain level first?
Well, that's a thing of these new generations, that they come with the sense of immediateness. So yeah, that happens quite a lot. People that are like 3 months in its first position ever, and they want to raise and they want to be a chief of, or they are complaining about that they don't got any opportunity of growing. And we sit down and we see, well, but wait a minute, you entered the company 3 months ago. What do you want? You got to take some air and breathe deeply, and things will happen at the correct time. We are very transparent in these conversations. It's like this. We are very direct, and we are very direct also when the case is that perhaps it's a person that has, I don't know, 2 years in the company and didn't got the chance of moving anywhere. And we are very sincere in saying, well, that's because of this and that and that. We are making evaluations, like 6 months evaluations of every people in WildFi. We give like a back forward evaluation of people to their bosses also. So we are very on to getting feedback and making things, improving things.
Yeah. Do you build like a roadmap for them? Perhaps, let's say like, hey, you're not ready yet because you're just, let's say like 3 months into the company, but in 6 months we can revisit the conversation. Like, how do you build that roadmap for them that's saying like 6 months from now?
I remember a case of someone that was a very good client partner in an office in Uruguay. He wanted to become a director. There wasn't any positions of director open at that moment. We were straightforward at that. Look, there aren't positions now, but you are here when the chance or the opportunity comes. You are seated in the front row to get a chance. So you have to wait. There are things that take time. You have to wait. That person didn't wait. He moved to another company, and he had the experience that he needed to have, I think. In the short story, if he wouldn't have moved at the time, perhaps his professional career have moved better staying in the company, because there were opportunities very near in time for him to take that he went to.
I think that last thing Herman said is important, because as we are this dynamic company, you may not be able to have the opportunity now, April 7th, but nothing says that that opportunity wouldn't be on the next 5-6 months. So I think that it's true that we are dealing with more anxiety from the different workers, that they want to scale up faster than we did, for example. But I also think that you have to understand where you're at and which are the opportunities. And it's not like a bank that you have to be 4 years in the same role in order to achieve, unlock a level and go up. So I think you also need to understand how this company works and expect the things that are being changing and the opportunities that you can have. we also have many cases of roles that we like made up. I mean, we made up roles because that is not working, and we need something that needs and that helps us with that. And this person has really good skills for that, so we're trying that. And maybe that role only exists for 2 years until we get that working, and then it changes again. So I mean, opportunities there are many and different, not only for seniority and more responsibility, but also like horizontal movement.
Yeah, it's actually very interesting you mentioned that because, a lot of founders, what they're facing is they have a key employees, maybe somebody who has a great skill set, somebody who's loyal, somebody had a great mindset as well. But they want to move into a role that is not available, right? So there's always a constant dilemma about, should I create a new role for a particular person or should I not? What is your thought on that?
Not that, that's a experience-based answer, not to create positions for people needs, because that will come to a negative end. It happened to us and we learned about it, and we make or create the positions the company needs. And we look in the best case scenario to fulfill them with an insider, but if not, with an outsider. That's our reality today.
Yes, it must be a company need, not a person need.
I think I've asked about 3 or 4 founders who are running like 100+ people agency, and they are saying no. So you are on the same page with a lot of different founders that are thinking about it. Awesome. Well, unfortunately, we are at the end of the podcast. And before we close off the episode, there is a question that I typically love to ask every single guest. So from your perspective, German, Lil, and Mica, if you had to restart today and rebuild the agency from scratch, what mistake would you refuse to repeat?
Not an easy question.
I will save energy, not giving away energy in things that don't matter. I don't know which of them, but that's the macro answer.
Yeah.
I think that another thing we have learned is understand. There is a saying in Spanish that I don't know how to translate it exactly, but it's like the more you try to like manage, the less you are like doing the things correctly or itself. I think we've learned that when you are like moving forward and you want to do this and do that and do that and try to incorporate that and new people and new okay, which are the priorities, where our energy needs to be channeled, and what are the things that we can do later.
I think for me, just to close it off, would be something like, don't take things personally. I think at the beginning where you're joining a company, there are going to be a lot of arguments because everyone is trying to do their best and everyone has different ways of thinking what the best is or how to get there. And at the beginning, it can come across as if you're getting attacked personally because of something. At the end, it's not that. Everyone is just literally doing their best and aiming for the best as well.
Everyone, this is your guest, German, Mica, and Lil, and this is the Agency Culture Conversations. Thank you guys for being on the show.
Thank you, Wes.
Thank you.
Thanks for having us.
Thanks, been a pleasure.